Hello once again, and welcome to today's That's English.
Hello, and morning to you.
You look very elegant today, Annabelle.
Well, thank you. I'm going to a wedding this afternoon.
Who's getting married?
An old friend, Lady Cynthia Warburton Clyde.
She sounds very upper class. Was she at school with you?
Oh, no, she went to a posh private school, like most upper-class people.
So will it be a very posh wedding?
Oh, yes. There'll be aristocrats, business people, some government ministers, and even some movie stars.
Wow, I'd love to go with you.
Today's documentary is about social class in Britain.
As you watch, find the answer to this question. What is the easiest way to tell if someone is upper class?
Let's see.
Beautiful country pubs. Cricket on the village green. Piccadilly Circus. These all come to mind when we think of Britain. It doesn't matter where you come from, they can be enjoyed by everyone. But what about this? Or this? Or this? Are the class divisions in Britain as strong as ever? We asked activist Wilfred Smith, who is an opponent of the class system.
Not much has changed. In the current government, most ministers have studied at either Oxford or Cambridge universities.
Then there are the private schools.
Only 7% of the population is privately educated, but most people of power or influence in Britain are from this 7%.
But between 1964 and 1997, every Prime Minister, Labour or Conservative, was educated at a state school. Some people believe Britain is going backwards.
The school you once went to is more important than your abilities these days. Fewer working class people are going to university because of the recently increased tuition fees.
But other people say that Britain is no longer as elitist as it was. Here's sociologist Abby Karim.
Successful public people, like top footballers, business people, movie stars, even if they don't have upper class origin, they can still mix with the upper classes.
So it may be that success and money can buy you class. Wilfred Smith doesn't think so.
I think it's important to distinguish between class and status. Money and success can give someone status, but it won't give them class.
Accent is the easiest way to tell a person's class.
The most obvious indicator is a person's accent. Generally, the upper classes don't have a regional accent. They learn a posh accent from their private school. If you do not have a posh accent, then you probably aren't upper class.
Not the intention to come out here.
So what about Victoria Beckham, also known as Posh?
David has pre-season training here. We're just here having a good time.
She certainly doesn't come from the upper class. The people of Great Britain provide a rich landscape of regional accents and local dialects. Evidence of our diverse society's history and continued change.
That's an interesting point that Wilfred makes about the difference between class and status.
Yes, you can be very rich, but still not be upper class.
Or you could be poor and yet still be upper class.
Now let's look at the answer to the question, which was, what is the easiest way to tell if someone is upper class?
Let's just see it again.
Accent is the easiest way to tell a person's class.
The most obvious indicator is a person's accent. Generally, the upper classes don't have a regional accent.
So accent is the easiest way to tell if a person is upper class. The upper classes don't usually have a regional accent.
That's true. But in any case, class divisions in Britain aren't as strong as they used to be.
No, thank goodness. But there are still social problems like unemployment.
Yes, there are. We asked our international friends this question. In your country, how do people react to social issues like unemployment, political corruption, etc.?
Let's have a look.
People in Canada are quite conservative and or polite, and so therefore if they have concerns with certain issues, they might write letters to Parliament or have peaceful protests.
Scottish people have a tendency to be quite rowdy and outspoken about issues, so a lot of them take on protests to show their discontent.
Some people will protest, and sometimes you'll find in the cities there will be big protests. A lot of people go on strike for different union reasons.
As far as South Africa itself goes, what's happening in South Africa is you get rioting. There have been some quite nasty and violent riots recently where people have been killed.
Corruption has been a major issue, and media plays a very strong role in bringing issues like this to the forefront. There are also protests that keeps happening. It could be a hunger strike or a procession.
Today, a lot of people react on the internet, so I suppose rather than actual physical in the street protests like you might have seen in the 60s or in the 70s, the way people react now is by blogging or by emailing a stern letter to the government.
Modern protests are often via social media like blogs and online forums.
But I think that street protests and strikes are more effective.
I can't imagine many street protests in the town which Elizabeth visits today in That's Britain.
No, she goes to the elegant city of Bath.
Famous for, you've guessed it, Roman baths.
And its beautiful 18th century buildings. As you watch, answer this question. What kind of people visited the baths in the past?
Let's find out.
Hello again. Today I'm in Bath, and some people think it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It certainly has some of Europe's finest architecture and is one of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. I'm with James, who lives in Bath, don't you, James?
Yep.
Can you tell us what's great about living in Bath?
Well, it's like, I like the areas, like the churches, the buildings. It's very posh as well.
Very posh?
Yeah, most people say it is.
Of course, the baths are a main attraction. Bath was an important place even before the Romans arrived. These buildings that you can see in here are only 200 years old, but behind them are a Roman temple and the original baths that the Romans built. These baths, or hot springs, have been attracting kings and queens and aristocrats for more than 2,000 years. In Georgian times, it was fashionable to take the waters for medicinal purposes. Cheers. Oh. The pump rooms here were built at the end of the 18th century as a meeting place for the upper classes. But nowadays, everybody is welcome. This looks like a shopping street, doesn't it? But if we look at the buildings from the back, you'll see that the shops are actually on a bridge. Pulteney Bridge. It's the only bridge in Britain that has shops on it. And like the Ponte Vecchio in Florence, it really is a beautiful bridge. Okay, I'm off to do some window shopping. If we carry on walking up here, we get to Great Pulteney Street, full of luxury townhouses and five-star hotels. This is a sedan chair. In the 18th century, this was how the rich would travel around the city. If you weren't so rich, you simply had to walk.
Lauren, you live and work in Bath. In the 18th century, it was very much a place where the rich used to come. Is that still true?
Well, understandably, there's still a large population of the posh people here, but due to the fact that there's 2 universities here, so there's more of a student population here as well, so there's more variety.
This magnificent place is Royal Crescent. It was built between 1767 and 1774, and it really is a great example of 18th century urban architecture. These were the private houses of the rich, but now they're mainly offices and apartments. Well, that's all for now. Next time, we're going to Laycock and Castle Combe, 2 very pretty villages not far from here. See you then.
Oh, I love the Royal Crescent.
Oh, yes. The whole city is so elegant.
So let's check the answer to our question, which was, what kind of people visited the baths in the past?
Let's see the clip again.
These baths, or hot springs, have been attracting kings and queens and aristocrats for more than 2,000 years.
Yes, the answer is kings and queens and aristocrats visited the baths in the past.
That's right. Ever since the Romans built them 2,000 years ago.
But today, all kinds of people visit the baths, and the town is definitely an interesting place to see.
So that's the end of today's programme. We look forward to seeing you soon for the next That's English.
Enjoy your wedding, Annabelle.
Oh, thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.